This conference will now be recorded.
We'll start from what is performance testing, because on that day I explained about, sorry, I told you I'll explain about the other testing types and all, right? Okay. Compatibility, usability, security, accessibility, and performance. Okay. These are the non-functional testing. Okay. Compatibility in the sense you are checking the browser compatibility. Okay, you are checking the browser compatibility, whether this application is working fine with Chrome browser, whether this application is working fine with IE browser, whether this application working fine with Firefox browser. Like that, you are checking the browser compatibility. That is this testing type. Okay, and then usability. Usability is nothing but user friendliness, whether how your how your application is in the perspective of user friendly. Either you are clicking too many clicks, or you are doing too many drag drop to achieve one particular task. You should not have a too many clicks or too many drag drop should be there. It should be a very easy to use. User friendliness should be there. Okay, and then security is nothing but checking the security standards. Checking the security standards. Accessibility is nothing but, say an example, the blind people, those physically challenged people, right? How, whether they are easily accessing your application. You can see in your keyboard, just in the top of the J button, in the top of the J button, there will be some marker will be there. In the laptop, you can see, you can observe in just above J button, there will be a marker will be there. Why is that? Because the those who are having a problem with their eyes, they can touch and feel that that is a J button. Okay, that is a J button. So that how they are able to access your application. Okay, access the application. That is called accessibility. And then performance, we know what is performance. Performance is nothing but checking the stability of the application under load. Okay, checking the stability of the application under load. This is called as performance. You have any question, Ujwala and Rakesh? What is this non-functional testing? No, right?
No, no.
So, yeah. So, what I am trying to explain here, you should have an understanding of the different other non-functional testing. That is the reason. Different other non-functional testing, you should have an understanding. So that reason only explained it. But our primary focus is towards with performance alone. But somebody asking question, no, you should be in a position to explain that. That is the reason I explained all the other things. And then we can go with what is performance testing. As I mentioned, performance testing is nothing but checking the stability of the application under load. Stability of the application under the load. What is that stability? Say an example, your application is stable for 100 user or what, stable for 1000 user or what. Okay, like that you are checking the stability with the different user load. Okay, what is the stability is nothing but whether the requested content you are able to receive or what, whether the requested content you are able to receive or what, or some error is coming or what. So you should check the condition with the different user load. Response you are getting, response response you are getting, or uh, time is coming in correct way, or speed, whatever, these are all parameters I'm saying. So all these measurements you can check the performance, right? So performance is nothing but you are going to check the stability condition of your application with a different load. Okay, that is called as performance. Okay, and then why performance testing? um, say your application you are testing. Okay, your application you are testing. Yeah, how many people you will make them to test? Say you want to test with 500 user root. Will you recruit 500 people and then do the testing? Will that be possible? Will that be possible? No, right?
No.
No, right? No. You cannot recruit that many people to sit and do access your application. That is not possible. That is not possible. So what we are doing here, using this performance testing, using any performance testing tools, what you are doing, you are simulating that many user load, 1000, 2000, whatever, because that is a feature of this performance testing tools, right? The capability of this performance testing tools. So why performance testing? Say you are owner of Flipkart or Amazon. You think it like this: you are owner of Flipkart or Amazon. You did not test your performance at all. You are straight away deploying your application into the production. Say your application taking 25 seconds to load each and every page. Will your customers or the end user will use your application if the response time is always 25 seconds? Will your end user will you access your application if the response time is 25 seconds always?
No.
No, right? Because your application should be fast. Your application should be fast. Then only people will retain in your application itself, or else they will move to your competitor. So, what is that meaning? Performance testing is very critical because it has to satisfy the end user, and you should follow certain standards in loading the page. Say like 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds, whatever. If you are not following it, and if your response time is somewhere close to 25 seconds or 30 seconds, what people will think, like, this application is always slow, I can move it to some other competitor site so that I will complete my user journey very quickly and then I will go out of that application. So to avoid these problems, you can do a performance testing. You can do a performance testing, making sure your application is loading fast. That is the reason we are doing the performance testing. Okay. And then common performance problems. Usually what usually will get the common performance problem is, say the response time is slow. Response time slow. And then people will say CPU utilization high. CPU utilization high. And then memory utilization high. Okay. Memory utilization high. And then there are people will say GC issue. GC is nothing but garbage collection issue. Garbage collection issue. Like this, people will say these are the common issues. Common issues means that when you are accessing your application, certain transaction is very slow. Okay, certain transaction is very slow. That is called response time issue. And then when you are accessing your application, it is consuming lot of CPU. CPU utilization is always say like 80 percentage, 85 percentage, 90 percentage, like that. Then it is a CPU issue. And then when you are accessing your application, your memory consumption, your each time when you are consuming some memory, right, that memory consumption is very high. That is also one of the issue. And then garbage collection. Okay, garbage collection, say like your developer did not implement a garbage collection logic in your application. That time also your application will be very slow. Sometimes the people will also say thread congestion. Contention maybe. Okay, thread contention means you are not having sufficient threads running in your machine. Because of that, you are unable to do your work properly. So number of threads are less, which means that number of threads are less. Okay, that is also one of the issue. So all these are known issues. To avoid, if you are avoiding these issues, your application is working healthy. That is what the meaning. What is that meaning? Your application is healthy means you are properly following all these things. Your response time is fast, your CPU utilization less, memory utilization less, garbage collection working fine, thread congestion is not there, means your application is working fine without any problem. That is what the mean. Till now, any question, Ujwala and Rakesh?
No, sir, no.
Okay. Okay. Then this performance testing process and performance testing life cycle both are quite a similar one. I'll explain. First of all, any performance testing process, what you have to do, you have to do a requirement gathering. Requirement gathering. What is that? They'll call it as NFR, which is nothing but non-functional requirement document. Okay. Make sure you are having a NFR document uh, available. Okay. In that NFR documents, just a minute, I'll take a document maybe. F5. You're able to see this one, guys? You're able to see this image, or do I need to change the font color?
The font color.
Yeah,
It's clear.
it is clear now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, what is that meaning? Initially, they will do a requirement gathering. Okay. Requirement gathering means first they will do a test requirements and then test plan, and then they will do a script preparation. Okay, script preparation, and then they will do execution. Okay, and then they'll do the result preparation. If there is an issue, they'll report, and then they will do a retest. This is what a life cycle. Anyways, I'm going to explain that to you. What I thought of showing you is yeah, non-functional requirement gathering. I told you, right? Non-functional requirement gathering, people usually what they will collect. I'm going to show you now. Non-functional requirement document. Say basically what they are doing, they are collecting the system level information and the software level information, hardware and the software level. First of all, what they will collect, they'll collect the infrastructure detail. Okay, they'll collect the infrastructure detail, and then they'll collect the transaction detail. Okay, what are all the transactions that we are planning to do, and then they'll collect scalability related detail. Scalability is nothing but in the near future how much load that we are going to increase. Maybe in the year 2020 my user base is 1000, in the year 2021 my user base will be 2000, like that. So you have to check that scalability related, and then workload detail. Workload is nothing but how much load, how much concurrent user, how much throughput, how much hits per second. Like that, I'm going to test. That means workload detail, and then DB related. If there's something related to DB, you have to mention that. So in the requirement gathering phase, you are collecting all those things. First phase is requirement gathering, and then test design. Test design is nothing but using the, in our case, using the load runner tool, you are doing the script preparation. That is called test design. Okay, using the load runner tool, you are going to do the script preparation. What will you do? You will record the application, you will replay the application, you will parameter the application, parameter the script. Okay, you will do correlation, and you will do maybe text check or something. You are do not check text check or script error validation. Like that, all these activities will be done in the test design phase. Okay, and then once you are done, and then what will you do? You will do a test execution. Okay, test execution. What will you do? Test execution. In test execution, using the load runner controller tool, using the load runner controller. In our case, it is load runner controller. There are people will use performance center also. There is a tool called performance center. Both are doing the same thing only. Both are doing the same thing with the execution. Performance center to do the execution. Okay, what they will do? They will do a load test, or they will do a stress test, or they will do a endurance test. Okay, they will do a spike test. They will do a scalability test. Like this, they will do different test execution. They will do different test execution. Once the test execution is done, what will you do? You will do preparing the test results. You will do the test result preparation. You will prepare a summary report. Okay, you will prepare a summary report, detailed information of all the performance issues, your observations, your recommendations. All these things will be there in the test results. Say you are reporting some issue. What they will do usually, this till this the phase of the life cycle completed, guys. Till this the things are completed, but there are times people will do what they will do. They'll fix the issue. They'll fix the performance issue. Fix the performance issue. So what will you do? You will do the retest. There are exception case only these things are happening, but regular this is a life cycle. What you are doing? Requirement gathering, test design, test execution, test results, fix the problem, and then retest it. Any doubt in this, Ujwala and Rakesh?
No, sir.
Rakesh, you are also clear, right?
It's clear. It's clear.
Yeah. So what is that? This some any interviews, guys? They will definitely asking this question. If you are going like a fresher interview, that time they will ask you what is PTLC, performance testing life cycle. PTLC, okay, performance testing life cycle. That time you can answer them with all these example. What will you do in each and every stage? Requirement gathering, what will you do? Test design, what will you do? Execution, result reporting, and then what will you do in each and every action activities. Okay, clear, guys, with this PTLC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then performance testing tools. Performance testing tools, we know uh, uh, as far as we are going to see only the LR, right? Load runner. Earlier it was having SP load runner, guys. SP load runner. For the past 2 years, they are micro focus load runner. Micro focus load runner now. Okay, and there is one another tool called JMeter. There is one another tool called Neoload. There is one another tool called Performance Center. There is one another tool called Gatling. There is one another tool called RPT, IBM RPT, IBM RPT. Okay, and one other tool called Storm Runner. Okay, these are all different tools are there in the industry, performance testing tools. Okay, so for now our focus is towards micro focus load runner. We are going to see in detail about micro focus load runner, but sometimes what will happen, there are interviewers, they will ask this questions, like normally they will ask this: do you know any other performance testing tools in the industry? That time you can tell them like JMeter is there, Neolod is there, Performance Center is there, Gatling, IBM RPT, and Storm Runner. All these tools are there in the industry. Actually, there is a tool called Blaze Meter also there. Blaze Meter. Okay, these are all the important tools in the industry. Okay, so if performance testing tools, do you know any tools in the industry? You can tell them these are the different tools are available. But predominantly your interview questions will be there in load runner only, but they will think like whether you are showing interest in other tools or what, whether you are showing the interest in learning or what. There are people will check that also, whether your interest towards learning or what. Well, there are people will say, if they are asking this question, do you know any tools in the industry, they'll say no, I know only load runner. There are people will say like that. Then the interviewer will think like whether need to select this guy or what, because he is not showing any interest in learning at least the name of the different tool. Learning the tool is different, name of the different tool also this guy is not learning. Then how come this guy will learn new concepts and all? So making sure the tool names are available in the industry. If someone is asking in the interview, you try to answer those questions. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
Varun.
yeah, thank you. And then benefits of performance testing. See, that is what I told you. Your customer will be happy. First of all, first and foremost thing is your customer will be very happy, because your application is very fast, means they can complete that action quickly and then they can go out, right? Say an example, you are using one ticket reservation application, where your ticket reservation should happen fast, right? If it is not happening fast, then you will get irritation. Say you need to complete the task and then you have to go out. If your ticket reservation time itself very high, means you will think like whether I can go to some other vendor or what, whether some other booking site I can go or what, like that you will think it, right? So first benefit is your customer satisfaction. Your customer satisfaction will be there. And then one more thing, say you are a Flipkart owner or Amazon owner. If your application is very fast, what people will do, they will quickly put their orders, right? They'll quickly put their orders, which means that what is it increasing? It is increasing your revenue also. If your application is fast, means people will try to access your application, do the order, then revenue is also increasing, right? Revenue, your money factor also is increasing. So all these are the benefits. You can do that. And then what is a primary benefit of doing performance testing? To avoid production outage. If you are not doing the performance testing properly, you are keep on getting the production outage, right? So if you are properly doing your performance testing, your production outage will be minimized. Your production outage will be minimized. So that is a benefit of performance testing. Okay, clear about performance benefits, performance testing benefits.
Yes.
Yeah. And then types of performance testing. load, stress, volume, endurance, scalability. Okay, these are the different types of performance testing. Okay, performance testing, which is nothing but under that performance testing, there are different types of testings are available. Okay, give me a second. First of all, you this is also a very important interview question, or you should know the process correctly. So what you should do, you should know this definition clearly. What is the first load test, which is nothing but expected user load. Expected user load. When you are testing with the expected user load, that is called as the definition I'm saying. The testing type where you are testing the application with expected user load, that is called as load testing. Okay. What is that expected user load? Say usually how your application will come. There are if the application, either it is a new application, newly developed application, or if it is a existing application. Okay, if it is a existing application. New application means what the customer will do. The customer will define the they'll say, I'm expecting so and so user will come and access my application. The customer will define the user load. Okay, they will define the user load. So based on that, you will do the load testing. Okay, existing application means you can check the production log. You can check the production log. Okay, and then find the concurrent users who are always accessing your application. Say if I'm identifying my production log, I will say regularly my application is accessed by so and so user. Regularly my application is accessed by so and so user. That is called as expected user load, right? If you are using that as a load condition, you can do a load testing. Okay, anyone have any question like what is load testing?
No.
Okay, this is called load testing. Stress testing is nothing but find the breaking point of the application. Find the breaking point of the application. So what will I do? I will keep on increasing my application load. At one particular point of time, my application will crash. What one particular point of time, my application will crash. Okay, so that point is called, to find that point, we are doing the stress testing. You are stressing the server. Okay, you are stressing the server. When you are stressing the server, what is happening? You are trying to break the server. So to find the breaking point, you are doing the stress testing. Okay, and then volume testing. Volume testing is nothing but when I am doing lot of database activity in my scenario. Okay, that time I will do volume testing, which means that I'm keep on hitting my database for certain information to come. I'm retrieving some information, updating some information, inserting some information into the database. Means I will do volume testing. There are application, no, there will be a more interaction towards the database. So that time you will do a volume testing. Okay, and then endurance testing is nothing but running the test for longer period of time to find the memory leak. Okay, what it is meaning, you are running the test you are running the test for longer period of time, say like 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, like that you are running the test for longer period of time, and to check the memory leak. Is there a memory leak is there in your application or what? To check that, you are doing a endurance testing. Endurance testing, sometimes some interviewer purposefully they will ask it like, what is soak testing? Okay, so soak testing and endurance testing are same. Okay, so somebody is asking soak testing, it is similar definition, same definition what you are giving it for endurance. Okay, and then scalability. Scalability is nothing but to check the application performance, to check the application performance for the future load. What is the future load? Say in 2020, in this year, my application will be used by 1000 user, then that is a expected user load, you will be doing a load testing. If my application in 2021 will be used by 2000 user, okay, that time if you are testing with 2000 user means that is called scalability testing. With the available infrastructure, how my application will work for the future load. With the available infrastructure, how my application will be used for future load. So to check that condition, you are doing a scalability testing. Okay, to check that you are doing a scalability testing. You are clear, Rakesh and Uzwala?
Yes, sir, Manoj.
Yes, sir.
So make sure when you are attending an interview, the people will ask the questions related to load, stress, to endurance, volume, scalability, like that. That time you try to answer for all those questions. Okay, and then um, identifying the business scenario for performance testing, because most of the time customer will provide certain scenario, but ultimately as a performance tester, we are the one who is going to identify the scenarios, business scenarios. How you have to select it? Very simple. When there is a page revamp, when you are doing say an example, um, I'm loading Flipkart. Okay, which means that there is a loading is happening, right? This page loading is happening, and then if I click F5, there is a page refresh is happening, which means that there is a page movement from one page to the other, or the page is fully loading. Those time you have to select that business scenario. What is that? You have to select a business scenario where the page is entirely revamping or entirely refreshing, and there is lot of data coming from server, and there are lot of data inserting into the server. No, that time you have to select those cases as a business scenario. Okay, business scenario, say I'm doing a click in this button, I'm clicking a click here. This is not transaction, this is not user journey. You should not take this as a business scenario. Okay, this clicking and all, don't take it as a business scenario. Business scenario means it should totally reload the page. Say an example like this, it is totally reloading the page. So when you are taking the business scenarios, you should make sure the page is fully loading, or it is getting lot of data from the server, or it is sending lot of data to the DB server, inserting lot of data, which means that some load should be there, some activity should be there. The entire page has to get loaded again and again. So that is how you have to do the scenario identification. Clear, guys? Clear?
Clear, clear, sir.
Clear,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. So if some customer or someone, no, if they are asking you, hi others,
Hi.
yeah, if someone is asking you to identify the performance scenario means, what you should do, you know, you should get the walkthrough from the respective person, and then you have to observe it, whether particular, when you are doing a particular journey, it is actually accessing the application server, DB server frequently or what. If there is no much of activities happening, very few browser clicks are happening, don't try to take that as a business scenario. Business scenario should be of a complex one. It should be a complex one. A lot of page interactions, lot of page navigations, lot of page loading, all those things should be there. Okay, clear guys?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I joined some bit late, so I don't know what's happening.
Others, we are going one by one from what is performance testing, like that. From the institute, they will share today's video to you. Okay, so what you do, you go through it, and if you are having any queries, you can ping me in WhatsApp. Fine for you, others? He left. Okay. Next topic. Think time, Rendover's point, and then IP spoofing. Actually, this concept has to be explained when we are doing the scripting. But for now, I'll explain it. But when you are doing the scripting, load runner scripting, that time I will explain about what is Rendover's point and think time. Okay. IP spoofing is a concept. Okay. So think time. Think time is nothing but say an example. I'm clicking here. I'm selecting this. Okay, and then I'm selecting this, and then I'm selecting this. Between each and every click that I'm doing, right? Between each and every click that I'm doing, I'm taking some time, right? I'm thinking and reading, and then I'm clicking some. I'm taking some time gap, right? That is called as think time. That is called as think time. Say an example. I'm clicking a login button. I'm clicking a login button, and then I'm waiting for some time. Let the page load, and then it is going to the next page. There I'm going and reading something and then clicking something, which means that at the time that I'm spending between one action to the other action, right? One activity to the other activity, that is called as think time. One activity to the other activity, from the first button click to the next button click, right? That is called as think time. Able to understand what is think time, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Rendover's point. Rendover's point is very simple. I am accessing with say an example. I'll put it in Paint. Okay. I'm what I'm doing. I'm accessing with some 5 users. All the 5 users are coming into the system. Okay, all the 5 users are coming into the system. What I am doing, I am giving the ramp up. I'm slowly pumping in the user. So the first user will start, and after some time a second user will start. Okay, and after some time a third user will start, and after some time a fourth user will start, and after some time a fifth user will start. Okay, so the users are loading slowly, right? Which means that all the users are doing different action, doing different action. But if I want say an example, that guy, the first guy started the login, right? Login, say they did the login, and then here also login. Okay, here also login. Like that, everyone is doing the login part initially. Login. Every user is doing the login part. Okay, and then the same users, what they are doing, they are doing the search. Sorry. They are doing the search. Each and every user, what they are doing the search. Some activity, some search activity. Each and everyone is doing search activity. Okay, what they are doing the activity called search. Okay, they are doing the activity called search. Okay, and then I want, then the next activities they are going to put the order. The next activities they are going to put the order. But what I am thinking, each user are doing in a different timing, right? But all the user should come and hit the order button simultaneously. All the user should hit the order button simultaneously. What I can do, I can make all the people to come to the order button and then click the activity. What I want to do, I want to place a rendezvous point. There is a point called rendezvous point. There is a point called rendezvous point. Rendezvous point. There is a point called rendezvous point. If I keep a rendezvous point just before the action, if I keep a rendezvous point just before the action, what will happen? Each user are working in different timings, right? All the user will try to meet in the common point. All the user will try to come and meet in the common point. This common point, everyone will come and meet. Each user will come and meet in the common point, and all will simultaneously hit the order transaction simultaneously. Everyone will come and meet in that point, and then they will hit that transaction simultaneously. That is called as rendezvous point. Able to understand, guys, what is rendezvous point?
Yes, Sriman.
Yeah, Ujwala, you are also clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then IP spoofing. IP spoofing is nothing but say IP spoofing is nothing but, say an example. I am using my machine to hit Google. Okay, Google application. That time what is happening? The Google is identifying my IP address. The Google is identifying my IP address. If I'm keep on hitting the with my IP address, what will happen? It will some point of time it will shut down my IP, because somebody is hitting our application unwantedly, right? So it will shut down my IP address. It will block my IP address. But there is a concept called IP spoofing. It will keep on changing the IP address from one IP address. If you give series of IP address, say like you can give like this. If you give the series IP address like this, 192.168.1.1, okay, and the next series will be 192.168.1.100. Okay, the series will be like this, 1.1 to 1.100, which means that between this series the IP address will be keep on changing. So the receiver will not think this is a one user. They'll think that this is a different user. You able to understand what is IP spoofing? IP spoofing is nothing but you are changing the IP address frequently. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The next one is workload modeling. Okay, in this itself I'll explain what is workload modeling. Okay, workload modeling. Okay, basically workload means what is that? Includes the number of virtual user and volume of transaction per user. Okay, what is it meaning? Includes the virtual user. What is the virtual user you are going to use, and transaction per volume of transaction per user. How you are going to use the number of transactions that you are going to access it. Okay, so usually what you can do, say just this is how your example will be. Say what is a transaction, what is a concurrent user you are going to use, what is a peak concurrent users, throughput what you are going to achieve it, This is how you are going to prepare your sheet. Okay, say an example, if I'm using 100 user, per hour, how many order that I can put it in Flipkart. Okay, if I use 100 user, how many orders that I can put it in Flipkart. If I use 2000 user, per hour, how many user that I can put it in Amazon. Like that, you can calculate it. Okay, you can calculate it. That is called as workload. That is called as workload. So how you can find it? There is a formula available. There is a formula available. I'll explain that formula, which is nothing but they'll call it as Little's law. They'll call it as Little's law. I'll say like this. They'll explain that as Little's law. Interview question: Little's law means number of users equal to throughput. Okay, throughput into response time plus think time plus spacing. This is what the formula. Okay, this is what the formula. Number of users equal to throughput into response time plus think time plus spacing. Okay, so number of user. Say an example. You want to find the number of user. What will you do? Number of user I want to find it means number of user. I'll ask the customer how much throughput you are expecting. How much throughput you are expecting per hour. The customer will say I want 40 or 50 throughput per hour or something like that. Then you are going to replay your script and you are finding the response time as, say, response time is 10 seconds, and then your think time as 10 seconds, and then you are pacing as 5 seconds. Okay, say an example what you are doing, 50 into 25. Okay, that many user, 50 into 25 means how many? You can do the mathematics, right? 50 into 25, which is nothing but 1250. So number of users equal to 1250. So this is with, if you are using this much user, then you can achieve 50 throughput. That is what the meaning. Any doubt in this case? Any doubt in this?
No.
Okay, this is about Little's law. Little's law will be used to identify number of user or throughput, whichever. Say sometimes what will happen, no? Sometimes you will know number of user. Sometimes you will know number of user as 1000. You don't know about throughput. You don't know about throughput. That time you can find throughput by inputting the value like this is will be 15 and this will be and this will be 10 and this will be 10 like that. But that time what is happening, it is 35, right? Which means that 1000 divided by 35, 1000 throughput equal to, sorry, throughput equal to 1000 divided by 35. This is how you are going to calculate whichever the thing you want to calculate. You can do it. Either you can calculate number of user, you can calculate throughput, whichever the known factor you have, you can input that value and you can find the unknown factor. That is about the Little's law. So this is how you are doing your workload. This is how you are doing the workload calculation. This is how you are doing the workload calculation. You able to understand, guys? You able to understand?
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So with this, maybe we'll wrap up for today's session. We'll reconvene tomorrow. Maybe almost we are done with. Yeah, hereafter we have one maybe this NFR also very important. When you don't know NFR, people will think like you don't know performance testing itself. So tomorrow we'll try to cover this NFR. That's all. Straight away we'll go to the tool. straight away we'll go to the tool. Okay, so that time only your proper learning of load runner tool will start. Till now whatever we are doing is a basic construction, your fundamental knowledge construction. Clear guys? Clear?
Yes.
Yeah.